Welcome to TKT course by Teacher Teresa, Module 1, Part 2, Background to Language Learning, Unit 12, Differences between L1 and L2 Learning. Contents. Comparison of first and second language learning. Learning a first language, L1, is different from learning a second language, L2. We usually learn L1 naturally and at a younger age, while L2 is learned in a different context and in different ways, often when we are older. What are the differences between L1 and L2 learning? Think about the learner's age, learning context, and ways of learning. L1 learning. L2 learning, in the classroom. Age. Language learning starts from babyhood, continues through childhood, and extends into adolescence for some skills like academic writing, formal writing for study and research. Learning usually starts in primary school and/or secondary school. It may also start or continue in adulthood. Babies start learning language at the same time their cognitive skills, mental processes for thinking, understanding, or learning, develop. Primary learners are still in the process of developing many cognitive skills. Secondary school learners typically have developed many cognitive skills when they start learning a foreign language. Their attitudes toward learning and learning a foreign language may or may not be mature. Adult learners have fully developed cognitive skills, and usually show a mature attitude toward learning a foreign language. Learners feel motivated to learn language due to their need for communication. Adult learners and some secondary school learners may already have expectations about how languages should be learned, based on their past experiences, and their motivation to learn a foreign language may or may not be strong. Context and ways of learning. Learners learn naturally by hearing and picking up language from the environment. Sometimes learn naturally, but mostly through lessons and direct teaching. Learn a lot of language in chunks, a group of words or phrases used together as a unit. Often focus on individual words and grammar rules. Learners have strong motivation to learn, as they want and need to communicate. Some learners are highly motivated, while others have little or no motivation to communicate. Learn by interacting with family. Learn by interacting with teachers and classmates. Learn by talking about familiar things around them and by doing activities. By talking about different topics, often related to life outside the classroom. Learners listen to the language for a long time, before they start speaking, silent period. Often need to produce language, soon after learning it. Learn by playing and experimenting with language. Often by doing controlled practice activities and receiving corrections, and sometimes by playing and experimenting with language. Learners get plenty of chances to experiment with language every day. Learners have limited exposure to the L2, often only a few hours per week. Learners receive a lot of encouragement and praise when they use the language. The amount of praise and encouragement they get depends on the teacher. The learner may receive little individual attention from the teacher and not interact much. Learners hear simple, clear language from adults. Teachers usually simplify the language they use to help learners understand. Mistakes are rarely corrected, they are often reformulated instead. Learners are often corrected by teachers and asked to speak correctly. They may or may not get chances to make mistakes and experiment with language. It is not always easy to describe how second language L2 learning occurs in the classroom, because the process can differ from one classroom setting to another. Therefore, the information in the table above may not apply to all classrooms. L2 learning can also take place outside the classroom, when learners, whether children or adults, naturally pick up the language. In this case, L2 learning is similar to first language L1 learning. However, the key difference is that L2 learners often have less exposure to the language and may not have strong motivation to learn. Another difference is that, while L1 learning is almost always fully successful, the success of L2 learning can vary greatly. Key concepts and the language teaching classroom. Read these tips and mark the ones that matter most to you. The way we teach language to learners largely depends on the learner's age. The younger the learners, the more they benefit from learning in a way similar to first language learners, through exposure, interaction, and doing things. Older learners, with better cognitive skills, can also benefit from focusing on language form, in a more general or abstract way. Motivation is essential for successful language learning, but learners may not always be highly motivated. Teachers can use different strategies to motivate the learners. Learners have different ways of learning, different ages, and different personalities. Some like to analyze language, while others do not. Some enjoy taking risks in communication, while others fear making mistakes. Teachers can support them by learning about their needs and adjusting their teaching styles, topics, materials, ways of correction, etc. A silent period can be useful for some learners, but many adults may not like it because they want to use the language immediately. Language exposure is important for learning. Teachers can encourage learners to use English outside the classroom by listening to songs or audiobooks, watching movies, reading books or newspapers, visiting websites, making English-speaking friends, talking to tourists, or writing emails to pen pals. Interaction also plays an important role in language learning. Pair and group activities, role plays, debates, interviews, class presentations, and problem-solving tasks help learners communicate and develop their skills. Teachers should use simple language that learners can learn from, and avoid correcting them too much. This helps them build fluency, confidence, and motivation, while acquiring and experimenting with the language. Praise is a powerful motivator in the classroom, particularly for younger learners. It is also important for teachers to provide learners with as much individual attention as possible and engage with them in smaller settings, such as one-on-one or in small groups. See Units 9, 13, and 14 for factors affecting L2 learning, and Unit 18 for approaches to language teaching. Thank you.